Good morning, good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to today's webinar. My name is Christoph Grabmeier and I will be your host today. So let me start with some technical information. This webinar will be recorded, but the questions you submit, which might have your name on it, will not appear in the recording, so feel free to ask your questions. The presentation will be sent to you after the event, and cameras and microphones are muted for better stability to take not up so much of the bandwidth. Please put your questions anytime in the chat window. Answers by our presentators will be given at the end of the webinar. And for any technical difficulties, please also put them in the chat window and we'll try to help you as much and as soon as possible. Who we are? We are Advantage Austria. This is the international arm of the National Federal Economic Chamber of Austria. For all those who don't know us, a short brief explanation of all the things we do for Austrian companies interested in international business. This is part of our offer, but I go over that briefly because time is of essence, and so let me just say that for all your questions, please send us a mail or contact us by phone or whichever other way you would like to, and we'll discuss your needs and what we can do for you. Among these things I want to mention is our trade missions, of which we will have one also in October to the Republic of Moldau, to Chisinau. And now just coming to the bilateral trade between our countries, generally we can say it's a positive development. Also, as you can see, also there are some hiccups in there, but the trend is for growth in both directions. And also the numbers don't really take into account the trade, of which a good part is routed through Romania, given that the links between Moldova and the neighboring country, Romania, are very extensive, and also that many Austrian companies do business with Moldova via their Romanian subsidiaries. Austrian top exports to Moldova are electrical machinery, vehicles, and other parts of machinery. And from Moldova, it's mostly agricultural products and the preparations of these products, electrical machinery, and clothing. So I mentioned before, today we have the webinar. Of course, you're here, so you know that. And from October 15th to 17th, we have our trade mission to Chisinau. And for those who are also here in Romania or have an interest in Romania, on the right side, you see what we do in the meantime here in Romania. And with this, let me present also a picture of our colleagues here in Romania and our office. And we would always be very happy to see you in person, to discuss the things face to face over a cup of coffee, as we'd like to do this. So now let's continue with the program and with the interesting presenters. First of all, I would like to pass on the microphone and the screen to Her Excellency Stella Avallone, the Austrian ambassador in the Republic of Moldova. Your Excellency, please.
Good morning to everybody, dear Dr. Grabmaier, dear colleagues. When we are talking about Moldova, we have to focus on two aspects. One is the regional security situation and the very firm position of Moldova in this regard. Moldova is really the small country with the big heart because it took in at the moment 130,000 refugees, which is per capita more than any other country in the world. This is also due to the fact that the largest minority in Moldova is the Ukrainian, and there are a lot of people in Moldova who have relatives and friends in Ukraine. But Moldova merits a lot of respect for its position in this current situation, and the war in the neighborhood shed a lot of light on this country. The other aspect is the EU integration process, which is also connected to the regional security situation. Ukraine filed its application for EU membership on 28 February of 2022, Moldova and Georgia 1 week later. Moldova and Ukraine got the EU candidate status on 23rd June 2022, and the accession negotiations were officially opened in Luxembourg on 25th June of last year. At the moment, the screening process is ongoing. Screening means that the legislation of Moldova is compared to the EU acquis, and one tries to figure out where improvements have to be and adaptations have to be made. In connection with this integration process, there will be a bilateral summit, EU-Moldova, the first summit of this kind on 4th July of this year in Chisinau, where Moldova will host the leaders of the EU institutions, President of the Commission van der Leyen, President of the European Council Costa, and the High Representative Kaja Kallas. In connection with the EU integration, there is also the possibility to receive more funds from the European Union, and I think this is a point which is especially interesting also for the private sector. Last year, when Ursula von der Leyen visited Moldova in October, she announced that there will be an economic growth plan for Moldova worth 1.9 billion euros. This is a plan which should strengthen the Moldovan economy. It consists of three parts. The first one is the reform agenda. Moldova has to conduct several important reforms to adapt to European standards. The second one is a large investment plan. And the third one is the reform and growth facility. That's the financial instrument to underpin all these infrastructure projects. I will just name a few of them because I think the main points will then be made by my colleagues from the Invest Moldova agency. Among the infrastructure projects which are planned are new roads, bridges and rail infrastructure, such as the connection Odessa-Chisinau-Iași and bridges over the Prut River. Energy security measures such as 3 new electricity lines, high voltage lines from Romania to Moldova. Support to the energy sector in general. Also increased improvements in the field of healthcare with 2 new well-equipped hospitals in Cahul and Belz, and several other projects. I'm now coming to the activities of the Austrian Embassy. What is the Austrian Embassy doing in Moldova? First of all, of course, we are trying to strengthen the contacts at the bilateral and European level. We have had several important visits here in the last years, from the federal president to the Speaker of the Parliament to the Federal Chancellor of Austria. And we just had Prime Minister Dorin Reichen from Moldova in Austria on the 13th of June during the European Forum in Wachau in the Göttweig Monastery, where he met with our Federal Chancellor Stocker. Apart from the political context, we are also focusing on development cooperation. Development cooperation is one of our central pillars with two priorities: regional development, where we are also focusing on infrastructure, water management, environmental protection, and education, especially vocational education and training. And business partnerships. Business partnerships, they are focusing on projects which are not purely economic in nature, but also have a development angle. And I think this could be interesting for Austrian enterprises. In the economy, we have 100 firms registered in Moldova. We hope there will be several more. We have the business mission in autumn, as has already been mentioned by Christoph Grabmaier. We just had the Vienna Economic Forum in Chisinau in May. Then we have education. I already mentioned it, that we are focusing on vocational education and training. We are currently building up an Austrian international school in Moldova, in Chisinau, for technical informatics and electronics. And we hope to cooperate in this field between the school and entrepreneurs in Moldova, Austria, and worldwide. Then we have cooperation in the social field with civil society organizations, with our social attaché. We have a liaison officer from our Ministry of the Interior who is dealing with police cooperation and internal security. And also our Ministry of Defense is active in Moldova with an OSCE project, which is focusing on the handling of dangerous ammunition. So that's in a nutshell what we from the Austrian side and from the Austrian embassy are doing. Of course, we are open to cooperate with various Austrian entrepreneurs. Whenever you are coming to Moldova, please call me and we will find time for an exchange of information, or if you need help, of course, we will be ready to do so. And at the end of this meeting, I also stand ready to answer your questions. This would it be from my side for the beginning of this meeting, and I'm looking forward to your reactions. Thank you.
Much, Your Excellency. May I now ask Dr. Alexander Picker, the head of Moldincom Bank, to talk a bit about the current economic situation and, of course, what's interests us, the look into the future of the Moldovan economy. Dr. Picker, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Grabmaier. Ladies and gentlemen, happy to talk to you today. You see me talking about looks and outlooks, not typically dressed for a banker. Actually, I'm dressed like a Moldovan banker today, because today is the International Day of the IE, which is the Moldovan Romanian costume. We take that very serious. I do see, and I'm devastated that Mr. Grabmaier is not wearing that in Romania, but he has other things to do there. Let me briefly jump into that. This is a very interesting graphic. You see there the blue and the red bars. The blue bars are actually the past. So over the last 5 years, what was the growth rate of GDP? The orange ones are the future for the next 5 years and the expectations. This is what we took over from the International Monetary Fund. And you see there that actually Moldova, at the first place, was not having such a big growth over the last 5 years, but has basically the highest growth expectations for the next 5 years, 5%. only approached by Ukraine, who of course had a loss of GDP, minus of GDP over the last years, but now is coming up to 4.9%. So the question which this graph answers, where's the future? This looks here as it should be in Moldova. Can I have the next slide, please? Here we see the GDP per capita, and here Moldova doesn't look good, but as you say, you can see it's the glass is half full or the glass is half empty. So we rather would see it a quarter full and showing the potential. The PPP 2023 is the purchase purchase power parity, which shows how much the people can afford. For the time being, Moldova, not really a lot, a little bit more than maybe in Kosovo and Ukraine, but even Albania is there. So I would say this shows a little bit the potential, and that shows how growth can be still in this country. And now is the time to take the growth with you. On the right-hand side, you see the GDP 2023, now in real numbers, and you see Moldova is there with $7.1 billion, quite low. But the growth rate are promising, so let's see. Next slide, please. Here we have now the real growth forecast and the composition. Growth forecast I already talked about. The composition is very interesting. If you take there, start with the 16.5%, which is commerce. So then you see that agriculture actually is quite low in Moldova, only contributing 7.6% to the GDP. Then you have manufacturing, too low, but even more than agriculture, then construction, real estate, information, and if you go around, you don't have too much. So the biggest is commerce, but still there are possibilities in manufacturing and in construction actually. Real estate, by the way, is quite booming now. Can I have the next slide, please? Here we go, the big question, inflation. The National Bank of Moldova has done a very good job over the last years because we had inflation more than 30%, and now we are, and the newest information is there in June, we are at 8%, 7.92. It's going down. So we had the peak there in March, and now it looks like that by the end of the year we might meet the target of 5%. Definitely 5% would be a good idea, not too small because we need the growth, and you know, in growth economies you need some inflation, so we won't reach the 2%. We don't want deflation in Moldova, but we see that the volatility is coming down and it looks nicer. Next slide, please. About the banking sector. The banking sector is actually the best performing sector in the country, which is good on the one hand because that means that there are no problems expected from the banks. It is bad on the other side because if construction is not doing better than the banks, if industry is not doing, manufacturing is not doing better than the banks, then it shows that the banks will do worse over the next time. Anyway, the banking sector is quite small, with about 10 banks by now. The 4 largest banks keep more than 80% of the market. There is growth in the banking sector. You see there here on the upper side the general banking sector, on the lower side Moldingcom Bank. So for example, in loans we had a growth last year of 37%. Which is quite substantial, higher than the market, but even the whole sector grew by 26%. And what is positive too, you have a growth in the deposit side and on the equity there too. So from this point of view, it looks good that the sector is developing. You can count of the banks. If you need something for banks, there is a possibility to get the loans. And can I get my last slide, please? This is the typical slide. If you cannot convince them, confuse them. So you can look at it a little bit in detail later. I want to just highlight some of the things. This is about Molding Bank, which is the second largest bank in the country. The bank is leading in bank cards. The bank is leading in social cards. We have about 1 million customers. We have 33% of remittances, which is very important for us too. That means that we are serving the diaspora. We have the largest territorial network. We have 128 points where we are in the country, and we have 1,768 employees. So this brings me to an end. Thank you very much. And at the end of the webinar, I'm happy to take your questions.
Thank you, Dr. Picker. And before I pass on to the next one, I just want to say, when it comes to national costumes, I have the unofficial national T-shirt of Austria here, so I promise to wear that later on. But now let's continue with the serious elements, and I would like to pass on the microphone and the screen to Mircea-Florin Sandu from the investment agency of Moldova, Invest Moldova. Mr. Sandu, please.
Good afternoon. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, your esteemed guests, Your Excellency. It's a pleasure of mine to deliver a country presentation. My presentation would be rather short, but I will be more than happy to give you a comprehensive presentation during your visit in Moldova in October. Invest Moldova Agency is a public institution under the Prime Minister's office, and we help foreign companies as well as local companies with services such as facilitating B2B meetings, localizing their business, navigating through regulatory landscape, and engaging with potential partners and stakeholders. Moldova is a small country by population and by land. We have about 2.4 million people as for 2024 country census. We mainly speak here Romanian, but mostly half of the population speaks Russian, as well as other languages such as English, Ukrainian, French, German, and even Turkish. The gross average wage here in Moldova established by the government is about 715 euro as of 24, and the gross minimal wage established also by the government is about 250 euro. We have one commercial airport, which is a Chisinau International Airport, that provides flights to over 25 countries and over 50 cities. Now there will be another airport in the north of Moldova, but I'll be speaking about that in the next slides. Yes, mainly the population is concentrated in the urban areas, such as cities of Balts or Hei, Ungheni, and the major population is here in Chisinau, the capital city, with about 665,000 people. As I've mentioned earlier, Moldova is a small country by land and population, but we have some facts that we are really proud of. We are a major exporter of plums, walnuts, cherries, apricots, rapeseed, apples, and grapes. We ranked as top 20 global exporters of wine, and I'm sure that you've heard about Moldovan wine. And we recently ranked as a 6th global exporter of vermouth due to the fact that we have been able to access United States market. And we have quite booming IT sector that employs more than 28,000 people right now, with more than 2,000 active companies within a fiscal regime park, Moldova IT Park, that I'll be talking in the next slides. We've been ranked in the international ranking agencies such as Fitch Rating and Moody Ratings. Fitch Ratings means that the country has been resilient in maintaining macroeconomic and financial stability despite the external challenges such as geopolitical risk, war in Ukraine, foreign interference in domestic politics. It also means that the country has enough liquidity to pay its debts and can attract more investments. On the other hand, Moody indicator measures credit worthiness of a country and has a huge impact on the country's borrowing costs. It's a credit rating that is being observed by foreign investors, sovereign investors, pension funds and other investors, and it has been improved due to the fact that we have been able, as Mrs. Avaloni has mentioned about the growth facility, and also there has been improvements in the institutional governments. That's why this credit rating has been improved. We have been able to secure free trade agreements with lots of countries that are providing us with market access to over 860 million people. The most important free trade agreement is DCFTA, which has been signed in 2014. Also, we have a new free trade agreement that has been signed with the European Free Trade Association that gives us market access to countries such as Liechtenstein, Switzerland, Iceland, and Norway. Another free trade agreement that has been extended with UK, Moldova Strategic Partnership Trade and Cooperation Agreement, has been extended for another 5 years. These agreements are giving us the opportunity to access foreign markets by reducing trade barriers and import duties. In terms of FDI stock, mostly 85% actually of the foreign direct investments of Moldova come from the EU 27 countries, and more than 72% of FDI in Q3 2024 came from reinvested profits of the FDI firms operating in Moldova. What does it mean? It means that the companies, foreign companies, that chosen to invest their capital in Moldova have predictability in the next day, and that they choose to reinvest their earnings in order to maximize profits. In terms of net change in FDI stock, Romania has been our biggest commercial partner in terms of bilateral trade as well as capital expenditure, followed by United Kingdom, Bulgaria, Austria, and Estonia. In terms of fiscal system, here in Moldova, corporate income tax is 12%, as well as personal income tax is 12%. Dividend withholding tax is 6%, and value-added tax is 20%, with some exceptions in HoReCa, pharmaceuticals, agri-food, and natural gas. I have put in other countries as a comparison analysis for your reference. In terms of Moldova import structure, Moldova imports mostly from Romania, Ukraine, China, Turkey, and Germany, and we have a total of about $10.41 billion of imports, and we have a negative balance. Sorry for that. We mostly export to Romania, Ukraine, Italy, Germany, and Czech Republic. And the total exports are about $5.72 billion US. In terms of FDI with Austria, we have about 100 registered companies with Austrian capital here in Republic of Moldova, according to Public Service Agency. And Austria ranks in top 10, actually, out of 84 countries in terms of FDI stock in Moldova. Mostly the sectors cover insurance, financial sector, as well as automotive and agriculture sector. I'll be skipping some information here. And the next slide will be about why should we be consider investing in Moldova and do business in Moldova. Because it's quite easy to open here business. The most common business form in Moldova is limited liability company, which is quite easy to open if you have all your documents in order. Also, the government is targeting to achieve 100% digitalization. That means interacting with the public services when doing your business. Now we have achieved about 80% of business public services that are digitalized. As I said, the most common form of doing business in Moldova is LLC. There are other forms such as joint stock company, but I'm sure Mr. Vladimir Yurkovsky will be telling more you about that. In Moldova, you can find talent that are studying in the high value added industries such as IT, engineering, architecture, construction, manufacturing, processing. Mrs. Avalone has mentioned about the opening of a new technical college that will be educating more students that could potentially work in your firms if you choose to invest in Moldova. There are three strategic sectors right now, such as IT park tax regime, industrialization that gives state aid from the government, and the opportunities in the infrastructure projects. Moldova IT Technology Park is a virtual park that gives you 7% flat tax rate on the turnover. So if you choose to do business in Moldova, you open an LLC, then you become a resident of this park. You can do IT as well as BPO services, and you pay only 7% flat tax rate on your turnover. The employees that do not pay anything. Their net salary equals gross salary. Right now we have more than 2,000 active residents of this fiscal regime, and they employ more than 23,000 people. The IT sector has seen the fastest growing rate in terms of GDP, and it accounts for about 7% in 2024. And mostly the services are being exported. More than 80% of services produced here in Moldova by foreign and local companies are being exported. The industrialization incentive here, if you choose to do business in Moldova, government gives you up to 60% of your capital expenditure. And these are the 6 sectors that have been chosen by the government, and these are the sectors in which we are good at or we could potentially be good at. So let's take a simple example. If you choose to invest or open a factory here in Moldova, and you brownfield of about 1 million euro capex, the government gives you back up to 60% and up to 75% if you are a micro enterprise. So if you invested €1 million here in Moldova, the government has to give you back about 600,000 euro. 25% of this investment will be giving you as a grant after you realize your investment, and the rest will be given you as a compensation of corporate income tax. As I mentioned, corporate income tax in Moldova is 12%, and you'll be paying just 6% until you'll get your money back. In the energy sector and the infrastructure sector, there are many projects being developed due to the fact that we have been given a growth facility of 1.9 billion euro. There are electrical grid power lines connecting us to Romania, reducing dependency from Russia. There are infrastructure projects such as Chisinau Airport extension, another airport in Belt City which will be operating with cargo and charter flights. There will be a logistic terminal in the center of Moldova, Ungheni, that will give us faster access to European market. There are new bridges being built over the Prut, and there are many other projects that are now preparing us to become member of the European Union. So this will be my last slide, and I would like to finish with the fact that our countries have benefited the most when they were in the process of joining the European Union. Such, for example, Romania, when they were in the process of joining the EU, they were having about 5% average growth rate of GDP per year. Lithuania, 7-8% of GDP growth per year. And now it's a very good time because Moldova is on the verge of transformation. We would like to, on behalf of Invest Moldova, to extend an invitation to explore Moldova business opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sandu. Now we come to Vladimir Yurkovsky, who is a partner at the Schönherr law firm and who will talk to us a bit about doing business in Moldova from a legal point of view. So it's not only about investing and trade, but also how really to make it work from a legal point of view. Mr. Yurkovsky, please.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Please let me know if you see my screen.
Yes, please.
Yeah, okay, super. So today I'll tell you some interesting things, and unfortunately I'm not wearing the shirt today, but on the other side I'll try to compensate it with some interesting stuff about current realities in the legal field and the trends that an investor should expect. We will briefly go through the current realities, then I will let you know what is new and what should be an investor know about international treaties applying to Moldova. Then I'll walk you through very briefly about the local trends when it comes to legislation, expected legislation and stuff like that. And then obviously we'll finish up with the conclusions and things to bear in mind. So first of all, what are the current realities? Although we had a modest growth, as my colleagues mentioned, in the last period due to various factors, but this does not mean that an investor should avoid Moldova for obviously reasons. First of all, from a legislative point of view, the country continues to embrace seriously the EU acquis, meaning that an investor should expect that when approaching a particular question, then that question either already today or in the forthcoming future will be regulated more or less as an European Union. On one side, this is very positive and kind of get to used to, but on the other side, maybe in some fields this is not very okay because an investor may expect something to be easier done or less regulated. Another interesting trend right now happening in Moldova that given the proximity with the war in Ukraine and all these regional things happening around, there is an increase in interest in doing business with Moldova, but on basis of shore principle, meaning what? That the services or goods are supplied while no setup of the business is happening in Moldova, which is very interesting. And then in this particular case, the investor should bear in mind that there is a risk of permanent establishment being caused in Moldova and so on and so forth. So in a nutshell, yes, this sort of approach in particular areas is possible. Therefore, you should seek a consultant in order to further dig into this sort of doing business. On the other side, moving further, very interesting is that in some cases, the investors are looking to divest their local businesses for whatever reasons, but it doesn't mean that you should not think about buying or you should not think about investing. So, at least in my personal opinion, that the situation right now is a very interesting opportunity to analyze the option of buying businesses because of various reasons. You may get a very nice price when it comes to Moldova, to Moldovan businesses. Moving on to the treaties that apply to Moldova. So obviously, as a foreign investor, you may structure your investment in such a way in order to be protected from various reasons. As you can see in this slide, Moldova has plenty of bilateral investment treaties protecting foreign investors, and you have double taxation treaties applying to various jurisdictions. And as you can see here, for example, with Austria, you have a very nice withholding on dividend tax of only 5% when basically sending your dividends abroad, which is really nice. And you should definitely, the conclusion in this slide is that you should definitely structure your investment in such a way that on one side your investment is protected by a double taxation treaty, bilateral investment treaty, and then on the other side you can take out the dividends and the payments, various payments, in such a way in order to make it tax-wise interesting to you. When it comes to local legislation, what we have here, so obviously I'll not repeat what the colleagues mentioned, but the idea is that currently the trend is that everything can be done online, or most of the actions an investor when setting up a business or amending it or selling it or whatever, or obtaining regulatory permits currently can be made online, which is very handy. You can apply for e-signatures, you can apply for the registration of the company, you can apply for various tax certificates from the tax authority. So the trend is that right now is that you are significantly cutting your costs while doing the business from the office. This is very, very handy, especially after the COVID times and all sorts of other risks that may expect a business, etc. Moving further, when it comes to local legislation, taxation, the colleague from Moldova Invest has mentioned that Moldova has a very interesting taxation regime, and I think from at least my experience in the region, I think it's the best one. When it comes to legal aspects in more detail, obviously you can see here that we have a new civil code which allows you of great freedom of contract, and then we are expecting a new law on arbitration that would allow you to easily settle your disputes, etc., etc., etc. So overall, the country is undergoing a massive transformation in legislation that would bring it to the acquis communautaire, and also, it is heavily right now oriented in such a way that would ensure that the business is done easier, faster, cost efficient. What do we have else? Basically, when it comes to when it comes to investments to Moldova, please bear in mind the following things which are very important. Obviously, when it comes to investing in certain domains, as listed here, the FDI domains, you may be required to obtain additional approvals from the Moldovan authorities, and the particular domains which are currently applicable in the country are listed here on this slide. And then obviously, as before, you have to bear in mind the requirement of merger clearance in certain deals. We have, as of recently, stricter AML requirements, and obviously, last but not least, is an investor should bear in mind that sometimes court enforcement may be time-consuming in Moldova. What else? Agricultural land still cannot be privately owned by foreigners, so neither as a direct investment nor through a local business set up in Moldova. Unfortunately, this domain remains closed for foreign investments, and hopefully something will change in the future or not, I don't know. And moving on, certain domains remain overregulated. So meaning what? Meaning that, for example, if you want to do oil business or whatever, then you sometimes you need licenses, you need authorization. So, but it doesn't mean that you cannot apply online, etc., etc. So this is something also to be bared in mind. So to finalize, what are the recommendations after what I told you as of today? So first of all, have somebody to consult you in order to structure your business either way, either as a way of a greenfield or buying a business, or maybe reorganizing your current business that exists in such a way in order to be protected and to be tax efficient. Please do not forget that in certain cases you may need serious approvals from the Moldovan authorities when it comes to, for example, foreign direct investments in certain domains or merger clearance. Do not forget in any way to protect your IP rights. So Moldova is party to all of those international conventions. You can do it all even from your home country without requiring any input from the Moldovan consultants. So please protect your logos, trademarks, etc. Language factor, obviously, it's always the case. Romanian, sometimes Russian capacities are required, etc. Moving on, time factors, certain processes when it comes, for example, to tenders, obtaining certain requirements, it may be time consuming, and you have to put it into the equation when planning a particular investment. Yeah, and just to finalize, is it worth investing in Moldova as of today, as of the current situation we have, as of all the risks that are happening all over around the world and in the region, etc., etc.? At least in my opinion, yes, it is. There are plenty of sectors you can invest and you should consider them. Obviously, the colleagues and all of the other authorities are open to answer the questions, help you, give you advice, etc. Please choose your business partners wisely. And then sometimes you may need to adjust your business model to local particularities, language factors, or whatever. And then if everything is structured properly, I'm absolutely sure that it will be super nice for you. Thanks a lot. And I'm looking forward to your questions. You'll have all the contact details here in the power presentation. Thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Jurkowski, and this concludes our presentations for today. And now there is the time for the question and answer period, and I'll present what has been written in the chat and ask then somebody from the presenters for their answers to these questions. And starting with considering Moldova's current economic landscape, what are the most promising sectors for foreign investment, and how is the government supporting international businesses looking to enter the Moldovan market? So I think this would be probably best answered by Mr. Sandu, who might have provided part of these answers already in his presentation.
Yes, thank you for your question. I have actually provided the answer. The most promising sectors here in Moldova are IT sector, because we have a fiscal regime which is very attractive for foreign companies, especially that are companies that are employing lots of employees in the IT sector or the business processing or outsourcing sector. This fiscal incentive, which is Moldova IT Park, government initiative that has state guarantee until 2035, gives the opportunity for the foreign companies establishing their presence in Moldova under this regime to pay only 7% flat tax rate on turnover. So there are no other taxes, and it substitutes all the other local taxes. And for example, the company is making 100,000 euro per month revenue. It pays just 7%, which would be 7,000 euro. And the rest is your profit, basically. This scheme works until 2035, and it has been identified as a very, very attractive for foreign companies looking to establish in Moldova. The other support by the government is the industrialization, the state aid scheme, which has came into effect as of January 2025. And right now we have already 4 beneficiaries of this scheme, and it gives you a state aid if you choose to invest in 6 strategic industries, such as automotive, electronics, agri-food and processing, especially processing, construction material, textiles, pharma and chemicals. So, as I mentioned, this scheme works in a very specific way, depending on the region that you have invested your capital. and also depending on the size of your business. For example, you chose to invest €1 million, and the government can give you back up to 60% of your capital expenditure in terms of compensation from corporate income tax, as well as grant after you realize your investment. I hope I have answered your question.
The next question is, what is the average salary level in Moldova for blue or white collar workers in the production industry? I think also Mr. Sandu.
Yes, I think this question. I have seen this question, but it depends on what kind of activities you are doing in the production industry. But Mr. Franz, let me get back to you with a more precise answer after that, because I need a little bit of time to be answering you it precisely.
Mm-hmm. Ambassador? Sorry, I think you need to...
Just to complement this information, the National Office of Statistics has a list of the average salaries. And if you go to the website of the office, I put it in the chat, www.statistica.gov.md. You will find the latest figures from 28 May of this year.
Thank you. What is the status of harmonization of standards? Is there a plan, a timeline to align them to European Union norms, especially in the matter of quality assurance, production and construction? Mr. Yurkowski, please.
Yeah, I started to. Yeah, thanks a lot. I started to chat already on this one in the chat. So essentially, the formal process, from what I see from my clients, is that they started to receive invitations to comment, etc., to basically to the relevant stakeholders to present their feedbacks that are currently accumulated by the Ministry of Economy and then the Multistandard, and then afterwards exchanged with the European counterparts. But essentially, what we have to understand is that from what I see and those domains in which I was active in the last 15 years, it's already many domains already are embracing EU standards, either by way of various standards approved or by way of recognizing the all sorts of certification tests done inside the European Union. So essentially what I'm saying is that as of today, we can say that more than likely 50 or 60% of the standards applicable in Moldova in various fields. Obviously, I would not tell you some sort of like more detailed statistics when it comes to which domains exactly, but it comes to, for example, oil business, from what I see, those are EU standards already. So nothing to be harmonized. So there is this a remainder that would probably take some time, but I expect the process to be quite smooth. Formally, they just started.
Thank you. So next question, what will be the best channel to evaluate potential reliable suppliers in different production areas? For example, metal stamping, plastic injection. How do you find out if they're really reliable and trustworthy and can deliver the quality in the time which has been originally agreed on?
I think this question is also for me. I just try to. There is a platform. It's called businesslink.md, and it gives opportunity to find you potential business partners. It's a platform that has been developed by the government. I'm just providing you a link here, but also you can contact us at Invest Moldova agency, because we are in regular touch with local companies in here, and we can maybe provide you or facilitate a link to a potential business partner or supplier.
Thank you. There's a question about the providers of medicinal herbs and the products thereof. in this case, I think we will provide you directly with a list of potential companies who might be interested in partnering with you. And what else do we have? I think this concludes all the questions that have been posted on the chat. Are there any more? Well, in this case, if there are no more questions, one comment has been made about the provision of potential teachers in fields. We will also be in contact, therefore, with the embassy. And I think this is something which is a project which might take some time to implement, but it sounds very interesting.
There is a question about a specific timeline on the airport and highway.
Oh, yes.
If we have, Mr. Santo, if we have any idea, any insight here.
Which airport? The Chisinau Extension Airport or the Mărculești, the second airport?
It doesn't say. It says, is there a specific on airport and highway?
Yeah, the airport is about Belz Airport, I think.
Okay, the Belz Airport, they are looking right now from where to facilitate the funds of development, but there is no precise timeline for that. Also with the highway that will be connecting Odessa, Chisinau and Iași, there is no precise timeline for that, but hopefully it will be finished until 2030. This is the first year that I have received a preliminary answer for this question.
Okay. Any more questions I have overlooked? I hope not. But for all these questions, please feel free to send us an email, to call us, to visit us, to talk about. And I think the same goes for our speakers today. I would like to thank them for their interesting presentations and for their willingness to share their knowledge with us. And I do hope also to see some of you, at least, if not all, in October when we have our trade mission to Chisinau. And well, with this, I would like to conclude our presentation, our webinar today. And thank you very much for being with us, and I hope to hear from you or to see you soon. Thank you.